fall 2024. Okay, so I just want to make sure I'm recording it. Okay, so it's recording again. So to get us started, I'm just going to do a land acknowledgement. So we acknowledge that we are located on the unceded territories of Ramaytush, Ohlone people, and the coastal Miwok, the traditional custodians of this land on which this meeting takes place and on which San Francisco State University is built. We show our respect for and acknowledge the Ramaytush, Ohlone, and coastal Miwok people and thank them for making space in their territories for us to share our own knowledge, teaching, learning, and research practices. We pay respects to the elders past, present, and future of the Ramaytush, Ohlone, and coastal Miwok Nation and extend that respect to other indigenous people present. So recognition is not enough. So let this land acknowledged be an opportunity for us to contemplate ways to engage in decolonizing work and support indigenous movements for sovereignty and self-determination. So it's our collective responsibility to critically examine these histories, to repair harm, to honor, protect, and sustain this land and its people. So with that, I want to, again, just open this info session and welcome everyone who's here right now. I'm also joined by my colleague, it's the undergrad admissions associate director. I don't know if I'm getting that right, Camille, but who's in charge of undergrad admissions. So let's see. So we're going to be, I'll just go over just very briefly, just the context, also the history of the School of Social Work, just an overview of the BASW program, which includes the curriculum and the internship education component. And then we'll really focus more on the admissions process, because I know that that's what you're here for. So Associate Director Camille Rick will go over the Cal State Apply application, and I'll go over the supplemental application. And then one of our current students, Edison Contreras, will join us a little later to give a student's perspective of the program, and then we will open it up for questions. So just very briefly also, this is just a short history of the School of Social Work. We've been offering, or the school, San Francisco State has been offering social work courses since the 1930s, and these were undergraduate courses. That we can say then that the BSW program is about, about 80, at least 80 plus years. So we're older than the MSW program, which started only in the 1960s. And we're part of the California State University system. And within San Francisco State University, we are part of the College of Health and Social Sciences. So we are a school of social work. It's not a department or a program. It's actually a school. This is our current mission statement. So it's the mission of the school is to educate diverse learners to achieve progressive development and change throughout the Bay Area and beyond. The school cultivates ethical leadership for social justice, promotes professional advocacy, versatility, activism, and cultural humility. And the way we operationalize this mission statement is really through our curriculum. Okay. So the BSW program is currently accredited by the Council on Social Work Education, CSWE, which is the accrediting body of all baccalaureate and MSW programs in the country. It's also been recognized also as one of the it ranked fourth in the best BSW program in California by Social Work Degree. And these are the goals of the program. I won't go over the details, but these are ways by which, especially the affective domain, the principles under these are what operationalize what we have in the mission. This is more specific to the undergraduate degree. And how we make this possible is, as I mentioned earlier, is through the curriculum, the BSW curriculum, which includes both the courses and the internship experiences. So this is, if you will, like our curriculum logic model. So in order to meet those goals, listed in the earlier slide, we put together a curriculum that involves courses that hone your understanding or enable you to develop a theoretical framework for practice. And those are the courses primarily in the initial semesters. And then we also have practice courses where you actually learn competencies at different levels of practice, from the micro, meso, macro, and even global levels. And then we have also the internship also that are given mostly in the senior year, the fall and spring semester of the senior year. So that logic model looks something like this in terms of a curricular roadmap. So this specifies what the courses are for the 4 semesters. So again, the BSW program is really focused on the upper division levels, so junior and senior year. And so the courses in the first year, the junior year, as I mentioned, they're just focused mostly on developing perspectives, intersectionality, and trying to build on the prerequisites for the program. So these are courses on the history of the profession, courses on social differences, gender, human behavior in the social environment, etc. And then you also take practice courses in the spring semester of your junior year. The senior year focuses more on the practice courses as well as the internship. And then there's also a capstone class that you take in your last semester, which is a research class. So in addition to these courses, the roadmap also specifies the GE requirements that you need to meet to get the San Francisco State degree. Okay. As I mentioned, also in your senior year, you'll be doing an internship. And the purpose of this is really to give you a hands-on experience at practice at any level, also micro, meso, or macro. So it enables you to kind of apply also the theories that you'll be learning in your classes. It comes from, it makes use of an urban generalist model. So you don't specialize, you actually specialize in your MSW program, but the BSW program is really for you to get a sense of what, like a broad perspective of the practice. These are just the key people that are involved in your internship. You don't need to know them right now, but like we have internship instructors. So these are the instructors who are in the agency, and then liaisons would be your seminar instructors and one of our colleagues who's the coordinator, Professor Sonia Melara. And these are just some of the processes that are in requirements before starting an internship. And then what's entailed also, it's about 450 hours for the entire year. So it's around 16 hours per week for about 28 weeks for the entire year. In addition, we also have a blended program called the BSW MA in Gerontology SF State Scholars Program. So this is a blended program wherein you complete your BSW and then begin to take also some courses in the MA in Gerontology course in your senior year. And once you graduate with your BSW, you just slide into the MA in Gerontology for another year, and then you would have an MA degree. So it's earning both a BSW and an MA degree in 3 years if you're a transfer student, and it's 5 years if you are a continuing student. We also have study abroad programs that are made available or that really align with the BSW curriculum. We have a bilateral exchange program with Hochschule Fulda. We've had this exchange for 13 years now. So this is open to BSW students exclusively. And then, of course, the CSU international programs in Chile and Ghana align very well with the BASW curriculum. Okay, so now I'm going to go over the admissions requirements. So as I mentioned, the program is a 2-year or 4-semester program designed really for full-time study. It's a cohorted program, and we only do admissions for the fall. This is really open to students in the upper division. So that means you have to have a junior standing by the time you start the fall semesters. That means 60 units, but also no more than 96. And then we'll go over the requirements for transfer students a little later. And then also what continuing students at San Francisco State also need to bear in mind in terms of the application. So students also have to have, all students have to have GPA of at least 2.0 if you're a California resident, or 2.4 for non-residents. And then the prereqs also, I'll go over them in a while. You have to have at least a grade of C-. Okay, so these are the prereqs for the program. Human biology or its equivalent. Okay, this is shifting quicker than I wanted to. And then also introductory courses in macroeconomics, general psych, sociology. And the reason for this are these are the perspectives also that inform social work at the baccalaureate level. And then in addition to that, also your first year English composition, or English 114, or its equivalent. So transfer students can check assist.org for course equivalencies in their respective colleges for the prerequisites. If you're not in California, you can check out this link also for courses that are not in assist.org. Continuing students only need to do the supplemental application. And then the deadline for the supplemental application will be January 3. So I'm going to turn this over now to Director Vic Armstrong. And let me just make sure that I open your slide deck. Okay, so yeah, so I'll turn it over now to Camille. So go ahead.
Perfect. Well, hello, thank you for having me. So I'm going to talk about the process to apply. So for those of you that are not currently at SF State, but you're wanting to come in as a transfer student, you'll need to complete the Cal State Apply application for the general university admission. So I will talk about those steps. Next slide, perfect. So as I mentioned, you'll apply online at Cal State Apply. The application opens pretty soon here on October 1st, and the deadline, the priority deadline is November 30th. Next slide. So one thing to keep in mind as you go in and create your Cal State Apply profile is that you'll need to use an email address, and you want to make sure that it's going to be an email account that you will check regularly regarding your admission, because that's how we're going to contact you. So whatever email address you use in Cal State Apply, that's the one that we're going to get and how we're going to communicate with you. So make sure you check that email regularly. All right, so really important when you first go into Cal State Apply, you set up your account, it's going to ask, what kind of student are you? What kind of a degree are you hoping to earn? So if you are an undergraduate transfer student, you'll want to be sure to select the first bachelor's degree. If you already have a bachelor's degree, or maybe you studied in another country, have the equivalent of a US bachelor's degree, then you would not be eligible for undergraduate admission. So make sure you select first bachelor's degree. And then after that, there are going to be two options for indicating if you're a transfer student. You'll see there's transfer with an associate degree for transfer, or just a regular transfer. So you'll want to select the option that best fits with your situation, if you're earning that ADT, Associate Degree for Transfer, or if you're just any other transfer student. Next slide, perfect. Also, the application is adaptive, like it'll change based on how you answer each question. So definitely make sure that you're filling it out as accurately and completely as possible. All right, so if you are earning an associate degree for transfer or an ADT, you'll want to make sure to select that option. And then it's going to ask you, where are you earning your ADT from and which major are you doing the ADT in? So be sure to indicate that if you're earning that associate degree for transfer. Next slide. If you're not earning an associate degree for transfer or an ADT, then you'll select that other option, just transferring from a community college or a four-year institution. And then it's going to ask you approximately how many credits have you completed at your transfer institution. So as we mentioned earlier, this program is only for upper division transfers or people in junior status. So you'll want to make sure that you select that you're going to have 60 or more credits. Otherwise, you won't even see social work as an option. Because the application does adapt and it's only going to show you the programs that you're eligible for, you want to make sure that you accurately select your transfer student and you're going to have 60 or more credits. So as I just mentioned, it is going to change based on what you answer on your profile. So if you say that you're a lower division transfer, you have less than 60, you won't even see social work at all as an option. So just make sure you're filling out that profile accurately. All right, so once you set up your profile and you get in and select a major, this is kind of your main application dashboard, and it's going to go through all these different sections for you to complete. You'll have to fill out each section completely, and it's going to kind of show the progress you'll see in that academic history one. It kind of shows the green that's starting to fill up. So you want to make sure you fill out each section completely until it's fully green. All right. The one I want to focus on a little bit is the academic history section. So this one is probably the one that takes people the most time to fill out. So my first tip for this section is to make sure you report all colleges attended. Even if it's like an international college, if you're not sure if it was even accredited, you really should report all schools that you've attended. And then as you're entering your colleges, you want to make sure that you're using the built-in database. Like it has a list of hundreds and thousands of colleges. So try to type out the name of the school and select from that drop-down list, because it's going to make it easier later when you have to enter all of your courses. Try to avoid like abbreviations. Or like shortening the name or anything. Try to type it out and see if your school pops up. Once you enter your school, then you have to enter all of your coursework. So a really important tip is to have a copy of your transcripts with you as you enter your courses. You really should enter every course exactly the way it appears on your transcript. Even if you got like a W or maybe you repeated a course, enter everything that's on your transcript. And similarly with the courses, the Cal State Apply application actually has all of the assist courses built into it. So that website that we showed earlier for all the California community colleges, as long as you chose your college from that list, it's going to pre-populate some of those courses. So you'll start typing in English and it's going to populate and say, oh, do you mean this one? So as much as you can, try to choose from that built-in list of assist courses, because it will already know if that course is transferable. It already knows if it meets one of the general education areas. So you'll want to be sure to try to use that drop-down list as much as possible. Okay, and then after you've entered all of your coursework, The next thing you'll have to do is to enter the general education or the Golden Four requirements. So the Golden Four are these basic subjects that are required for university admission. So they are A1 oral communication, A2 written communication, A3 critical thinking, and B4 quantitative reasoning or math. And you do need a C- or better in each of these 4 subjects. So if you chose from the assist list and like as you're typing, it pre-populated, it's actually going to automatically fill in this section. And you can just go in and double check that it filled it in correctly. But if you had to manually type in your courses, like maybe you're from a college that's out of California, or maybe it's a 4-year institution, you'll have to manually kind of select which course aligns with each subject area. And you want to make sure that you do that correctly. It's going to let you choose whatever you want, but you want to make sure that you're selecting like a math course that does go with the B4 math. You shouldn't select something like art history or something like that. You know, make sure that you're reporting as completely and accurately as possible.
Okay, Camille, there's a
Yeah.
question from Tala.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Hi, thank you. Is calculus the required math course, or could we take statistics?
Oh, great question. Yeah, so any B4 math for university admission is okay, not calculus. This was just for the example.
Thank you.
Great question. All right. So as you fill out the different sections in Cal State Apply, you'll come to a program materials section. And this is where we have some reminders about the Bachelor's of Arts in Social Work. Just, you know, some of this you already heard in this presentation, but we're trying to remind you of those important things here in this program materials section. So it's going to have some reminders about the prerequisites and the deadline for the supplemental application. And then there'll be a tab for documents. And we do require you to upload a copy of your unofficial transcripts. So there'll be a button where you can upload a copy of any of your transcripts. If you attended multiple schools, there'll be other buttons where you can upload additional transcripts. So you'll need to upload at least one in order to continue. And then also there is a questions section. So again, we're trying to just remind you of the important steps. So we want to make sure that you are aware that there is a supplemental application and what the deadline is. So you do have to enter your initials in that question just to confirm that you understand that you also need to do the additional supplemental application. So you'll have to complete that step before it allow you to submit the application. All right, so this is what it looks like when all of the sections are complete. You'll see each one is fully green, and then it will have up at the top the option to submit the application. Now at this point, there is a $70 application fee. You can pay by credit card, e-check, PayPal. If you are eligible, there are some fee waivers. So it's determined based on the information you put on the application. It looks at your income and your household size and whether you're a California student, and it will determine automatically if you're eligible for a fee waiver. Students are allowed up to 4 fee waivers per admission term. All right. So just some overall tips. There are some application guides on the calstate.edu website. So you can use those to kind of follow along and get tips or help if you get stuck with anything. Also, start your application early. It can take longer than you think, especially that academic history section where you have to enter all of your courses from your transcript. Usually that takes a little longer than some students might think. So start early. Don't wait till the last minute. And then also take your time as you're filling out the application. it can be a little bit long, and some students find that it's better to just not try to do it all at once, but do a little bit, come back to it later. Also, double check your work before you submit. It's really important that you do report everything accurately. For your admission offer, we do use the information that you entered on your application to calculate your GPA, to determine if you meet the minimum university admission requirements. So if you failed to report accurately or completely, it could affect your admission eligibility later. So just make sure that you're filling out everything as completely and accurately as possible. And also try to submit before that November 30th due date. I'm hoping that this year there'll be no problems, but in previous years, the application site has crashed, because too many people are on there trying to apply on November 30th. So don't wait till the last minute. Try to get in there early and submit before that November 30th deadline. And then remember, you can always reach out to us in admissions if you have any questions or need any help. So I wanted to make sure you know about 2 really good resources. I already mentioned the guides that are available. Also, the Cal State Apply application has a help center. So anywhere in the application, just look at the bottom and there'll be like a help center button. And there's like lots of customer support. They do phone, email, they have like a virtual chat, and they have lots of FAQs in there. And then also the admissions office, we're going to be hosting Cal State Apply workshops in October and November. So if you're just really stuck, you can sign up for one of those Cal State Apply workshops and kind of get some more hands-on help with the application. And then also I wanted to be sure to promote our Discover SF State event. So this is an open house event for prospective students who are thinking about applying for fall 24. So I hope you'll check it out. Come see our campus. We're going to do tours, campus tours, housing tours. There'll be lots of activities going on. So check it out. It's Saturday, October 21st. And I put the website there where you can check it out and register. And that's all I have. I'm happy to take any questions that anyone has about applying for transfer admission.
Thank you so much, Camille. Are there any questions?
I have a question.
All right.
Hi. So I see that, as you've said, you offer a joint program between the BASW program and the Masters of Arts in Gerontology. Do you offer a similar joint program with the MSW program?
No, we don't.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay, let me, if there aren't any other questions, let me go over the supplemental application this time. No, okay, it's the wrong one. Let's see. Okay, so completing your supplemental application. So this one applies to both continuing students and transfer students. So you can find the supplemental application on the BASW admissions page from our School of Social Work website. So you have the URL right there. And the supplemental application just includes an application form, which I'll go over the form in a while, but it mainly asks for your personal information and then also a listing of relevant volunteer or work experiences in the social services, a resume, and then this one is optional, so it's not required, just a reference letter from a current or a former professor. So again, these applications, your supplemental application should be uploaded onto the BASW admissions folder. So it's a secure folder, the link to which can be found also on our website. It needs to be uploaded by January 3, right before midnight. Okay. And then let me go over the application form. I'm trying to locate them now. Let's see. Here. So, well, first let me just show also, this is the page on the School of Social Work website that has the information about the BSW admissions process. So if you go to this one, so it's socwork.sfsu.edu /BASW. You'll see the tab here, it says admission. And then this is where it lists all the eligibility requirements and the prereqs, as I mentioned earlier. And then it also has links to assist and the articulation page, to see course equivalencies. There's a tab also for the deadlines for both Cal State Apply and for the supplemental application. And then the How to Apply tab will walk you through the different steps. Okay. So you can download the application form by just clicking on this link here, where it says application form. It's a hyperlink. It'll take you to this page, which is actually, it's from box.com, but you can just download. This is a PDF, a fillable form, and it's going to ask you for just your own, your personal information, mostly contact information. We want you to indicate if you're an SF State student or a transfer student. If you are a transfer student, to indicate also if you're pursuing a social work associate degree transfer, so social work ADT. It's helpful for us to also know if you plan to do a second major and to indicate that, and also a minor. And then it will ask for your current, your overall GPA at that point. The next part will have you detail your community service and professional practice experience in the social services. So they have to be relevant community service. And I'll go over what we mean by what's relevant here. So for this one, for the first part, this is for volunteer experience. So this is experience that's not paid. So we just want to know if you can just put in the details, so the dates, the hours per week, the organization or the population that was served, what was your title, and then your primary responsibilities. If you need more space than what's provided here, you can just attach like attach another sheet where you continue that list. The second chart will ask you to indicate paid employment experience in the social services again. So some of you may already be working even as a student, or maybe have worked previously. And we're interested to know also your experiences there. So again, just indicate the dates, the hours per week, the name of the agency or organization, and then what was your title and your primary responsibility. And then the next part, we just want you to confirm that you will have 60 units by the time you start the fall 2024 semester. So it's not at the time of application, since we understand some of you may still be trying to earn your units in the spring or summer semester. But by the time that if you are admitted by the time of the fall 2024 semester, you should have a junior standing. You also need to make sure that you don't have more than 96 units, again, by the start of the fall semester. And then the next page, we ask you also to indicate your prerequisites. So if you are a continuing student, then these are the courses that we have here at SF State. Just indicate if you've completed them, yes or no. And if not, when do you plan to complete your course? So if you're currently taking them, then just check where it says fall 2023. And then if you plan to take them in the winter, spring, or the summer semester, then indicate those as well. So we want to make sure also that you have all the prereqs by the time you start the fall semester. So if you still are missing one or two prerequisites, so make sure to plan to take them in your spring or summer semester, or even in the winter term for 2024. We'll have you sign your form and to date that. Now, the last page is where we detail what we mean by relevant experience. So on the left-hand side, these are just some examples, and it's not an exhaustive list, but it's just to give you an idea of what we mean by relevant experience. And then on the right-hand side are those that we don't consider relevant experience. So even if you've had experiences doing this, like you don't need to list those. Just list what similar experiences as what are listed here on the left-hand side of the chart. Okay. So once you've completed that and signed off on that, then you would submit that, upload your materials to the digital BASW application folder. So again, this is a secure box.com folder. If you click on it, this is what it would look like. It will just ask you to upload your files. So you don't see other files that are in this folder. So there's a link here that says select file. So just click on that and it will ask you to look for your file in your drive and then upload it. Okay. So make sure that you, let me go back to the slide deck. That you turn in your applications for Cal State Apply on November 30. And then your supplemental applications for both continuing and transfer students, that you upload this by January 3. So now I want to turn this over now to one of our current students right now, who's a senior, will be graduating in May, Edison Contreras, who will give a student perspective on the BSW program. But before that, there's a question here from Jaylin.
Hi, yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we could hear you.
For the Cal State application, that's only for transfer students. So if you do go to SF State already, you don't have to do that?
That's correct, yes.
Oh, so we just do the supplemental one for
Correct.
current SFC. Oh, okay. Thank you. I was kind of confused on that part.
Okay, yeah, so just to reiterate, the Cal State applies for transfer students. The transfer students have to do both Cal State Apply and the supplemental application to be considered. Okay, so you have to do both. And I think Dr. Rick Armstrong earlier said also that there's a part of the application where you're confirming that you understand that there's a second part, that there's a supplemental application.
Okay.
You're a continuing student, you only have to do the supplemental application. So that's, which is due on the 3rd of January.
Okay, thank you.
So now let me turn this over now to Edison Contreras, who's our currently a senior and will give a student perspective of the program. So thank you for joining us, Edison.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we could hear you.
All right, perfect. Hi, everyone. So my name is Edison. Like Dr. Hermosa said, I'm a senior in the BASW program here. And, I'm really just honored to be able to share my experience. I started my journey here in fall of 2022, and we were actually the first class to be in person after the pandemic. A few things I want to highlight is first the social work curriculum. The social work curriculum here is really designed to empower students with the knowledge and skills necessary to make meaningful impact in our communities. Some of the courses are, they range from social policy analysis to human behavior and diversity, and they really equip us with the understanding of societal issues. One thing that I personally enjoyed is the hands-on experience. And I know here at SFSU, they believe in learning by doing. And we get our hands-on experience through our internships and our field placements, which allow us to really apply the knowledge and theory that we learned and apply them in real world settings. That setting may be a hospital, it may be a school, it may be a nonprofit organization. I was fortunate enough to get accepted into my first choice, which was the Contra Costa Public Defender's Office. Really interning as a forensic social worker, and it's really been, just such an honor to be, kind of see what social workers are doing in that space. Another thing I really want to highlight is our faculty. They are really truly experts in their field. Dr. Hermosa has done wonders in macro social work. We have some that are medical, some have created organizations like La Casa de Madres, SF. They're really dedicated to mentoring and guiding us, and they truly do want us to succeed. But one thing I definitely need to highlight is the cohort here. We're a smaller group, and I didn't think I would appreciate it as much as I really did. You know, we really know each other's stories. We are able to celebrate our differences. And, being that smaller cohort, we've created bonds and relationships that will last years after graduation, and I just want to tell you guys, if you truly believe that you're passionate about making a difference in the lives of others, in San Francisco and the Bay Area, SFSU's social work curriculum provides the education and the experience that you need to turn that passion into a career to change lives. And like what I like to say is provide the most human power, which is hope. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Edison. So I think we can open it now for questions, just general questions. You can address it to any of us. Yes, Jalen.
I don't have a question. I just forgot to put that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Tala.
Hi, thank you. Could we, so of the 5 required prerequisites, are we able to take one of them during the summer before, like, can we complete our prerequisites after spring?
Yes. So that's why I said you could take it up to the summer, but you have to complete it before you are admitted. Let's say if you've been accepted, you'll be given a conditional admission until you complete your prereqs. So I'll be sending out reminders. So if I see that you still haven't completed it by the end of the spring, I'll say, okay, just use the summer now to take your prereqs. Or if you're continuing students and have you still have missing units, you have 58 units, I'll encourage you to take just any summer class like for 2 units, and so that you can get up to 60 and be able to join as a junior. So yes, to go back to your question, you can complete it until the summer.
I have a follow-up question. Thank you for answering my question. If so, I'm at City College and I'm aiming to gain the ADT in social work. Would you know, maybe this is a question for my academic counselor, but would you know if postponing to take one of my prerequisites in the summer compromise my ability to get my ADT in social work, as well as this is the question.
I don't know, would you have some thoughts about that, Camille?
Yeah, I'd say definitely check in with your counselor at City College. We do still accept ADTs, even if you complete all the requirements in the summer. So if it works out that you're not going to finish all the ADT requirements until your summer before entering SF State, that would still be okay for getting all of those benefits from the ADT.
Thank you.
Okay, Heather, you have a question?
I do, yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we do.
Okay. I just have a question about the program itself. As far as I understand from my current professors, the SF State BASW program is pretty impacted So how does that affect admissions for those who have an ADT, and what is, I guess my question is, how many applicants are you accepting for fall of 24?
Okay, that's a good question. So we're hoping to admit a cohort of 30 for fall 2024. And then if you have an ADT in social work, because of, by law, that gives you really admission to any CSU or a UC. So it really is an advantage to have a social work ADT. Now that's, like I said, it has to be a social work ADT. If it's an ADT in another major, then you would have to like we would still have to review your application, your supplemental application. So it doesn't really, at least since we've started having admitting ADTs, it hasn't impacted our admissions. We still have a lot of applicants who are non-ADT, and then also a lot of continuing students who are applying to the program.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate your answer.
Are there other questions? Do you have any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I heard that you said that you're looking to admit about 30. Are you open, like, are you guys open to admitting more than that, or is that just like the amount you want to stick to for this cohort?
That's a very good question. I think like we'll have and that's the way we do admissions. It's like we're hoping to have 30, but depending on the applicant pool, it's better to admit a little bit more, because usually there'll be some attrition between the time we send out the admission letters, which would be around April to August. There's students who maybe will accept initially, and then life happens and they decide not. So sometimes we'll have like a waiting list also, so that way we can offer admissions to students who are on the wait list. And with the wait list also, we ask students, like we let them know also that there has to be like there's like a deadline also for when we'll inform them, because we don't want students also to just be waiting. And we do have students also who are willing to wait until the last, until the first day of class to move to social work, and you have to be in another major temporarily and then move to social work. So we've had kind of both sets of students. So there is some flexibility there. It really will depend on what the applicant pool will look like. So it's not, again, it's more like a ballpark. It's around 30, but again, there might be some flexibility there if everyone will accept, and we've admitted more students. I mean, there's some students also who change their minds. Initially they'll say they'll come, and then they won't, and then they said they want to accept the admissions again. And so that way we might have more than 30 in those instances. So I think we lost Sanaya. Hi, Sanaya. Glad you could join us again, but I don't know if did I answer your question or?
Yeah, sorry, I heard it. My computer died.
Okay. Okay, are there any other questions? Tala, do you have your hand up again? Or?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
What are the personal statement or essay questions that we need to answer?
So there aren't any. If you'll notice, like this year we've decided to just stick to the chart where you list down your experiences. So that's a difference between with our application form this year, is that we won't be asking the essay questions. But the two matrices that are there, where you have to put in information about your volunteer and your and or your paid experience in the social services. Those I think will really tell your story this time.
Thank you.
I had another question about like
Yes.
the list of things that count and don't count. So I know on there it says nannying like doesn't count. Would it count if you work like on campus at like a how do you say this? Like a childcare center?
Yes. Yes, I mean, because it's like within like like an agency setting, where you have it's a bit more I guess programmatized. So that one will count as relevant. Any other questions? We have something on the chat. Yes, this recording will be uploaded onto the social work website. I think there's a way that we will do it where it's just going to be the speakers that will show, or at least the view of the speakers and the slides. So, but I think that there were some questions, unless there were also questions in the chat, that those we'll just put in the answers for that. Okay, how many people tend to apply? On average, let's see. It really tends to vary by cohort. We've had years where there've been more than more than 100. That's kind of gone down over the years, and I think that's something that's more universal. But it's right around like a little, like between, I would say between 80 to 100 apply to the social work program, and that's just the supplemental application. I think there are more applicants of Cal State Apply that will indicate social work, but then not all those applicants submit a supplemental application. So what we're only considering are those who submit a supplemental application. Okay, so there's a question also, if you don't have any experience, will you be considered? That's it's a good question, because again, we get also a very diverse group of applicants, where you have, applicants who have a ton of experiences, and then others also who are, straight out of high school. So even if you don't, you could still apply. Just know also that, the one thing that we will look at is experience. So I would suggest, since you now have the information, then maybe you can consider also doing some volunteer work this semester. And that could count. Then you can list that in your application. So you have until January 3 to submit your application. You can you look for opportunities on your campus, if you're in a community college or in your community, so that at least you have something to list if you don't have past experience. I don't know, Edison, if you have anything to add in terms of that, about gaining experience.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's how can some applicants gain some experience before they, if they don't have any right now?
If they don't have any social work experience.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I think one thing I like to say is we have the PhD in our life, right? So I feel like any experience, whether that is even, you were a leader in your high school, like a leader of an organization, if you were babysitting, there's just all these other experiences that you can highlight. But in gaining experience, what I've personally have done, I've looked at volunteer work locally. So I live in East Bay. So I've done some volunteer work where it's like teaching English to students in Nigeria. Little things like that will definitely help bolster up your your experience and your resume.
Thank you, Edison. So there's also a question here about English 114, or can we take an equivalent? So I think there are equivalents to English 114, and if you're referring to other English courses here at SF State. So there are, I would suggest to check in with any of the undergrad advisors, because they would know like what, I know there are different course equivalents or substitutes, and sort of different pathways for meeting the first year English composition requirement. So you can check in with them. So that's why we put there, it's like English 114 or its equivalent. And the same thing also with the other prereqs. So there's a question if you're going to be awarded your ADT in the spring for 2024 while postponing. Yes, you will have to ask your college if that's possible. Because I think they'll be the ones awarding you the ADT in social work. Okay, are there any other questions?
Yeah, I had another question.
Sure. Yes.
Does, like, let's say you did like a beach cleanup or something in high school, would that technically count as like volunteer like experience? Like if you organized to do the beach cleanup yourself?
I would say so. If you organize it yourself, and then you had, you involved other people, or you recruited people to be part of it. I mean, I would consider that as relevant. I mean, the point is that it's a beach cleanup, but it's still it's one example also of doing kind of like environmental justice work. And right now also that's one of the core competencies that the Council of Social Work Education also specifies, also environmental justice. And the point is that you were organizing people to do the beach cleanup. So that building of relationships and community organizing is a form of social work practice. So if you're getting people together to work on a beach cleanup or any other sort of environmental justice kind of involvement, that's an example of relevant social work experience.
Oh, okay, thank you. And then like just a follow-up, when like let's say you needed to like report that on like the application, would you put like self-organized under like organization or like something like that?
Right. Just put like self-organized, and how many people did you were able to recruit to be part of the initiative. That you could indicate that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so if there aren't any other questions, like it's 5:59, so right on the right on time. If you have additional questions, you can reach out to us. Let me just show you our contact information. So you can send an email to baswprogram@sfsu.edu, or also call our office at that number 415-338-1003. You can also contact me. I'm Dr. Hermoso. My email is hermoso@sfsu.edu. So Hermoso. So I want to thank all of you who are here in person and virtually for coming. Like I said, we'll have the link to the recording on our website so you can come back to it for questions. So I want to thank everyone, and I hope you have a good rest of your evening. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.